Hey guys, this is explaining your game job to friends and family, and I'm Shawn Patton. So going through life, you're going to meet a lot of people, right? You're going to meet the parents of your significant other, maybe, and you're going to go to bars and restaurants, and you're going to meet people there, and you're going to go on airplanes, and you're going to meet people on airplanes, and you know, you're going to meet weird people on the street. So when you meet all these people, right? You might start talking to them, and eventually the question, so what do you do? And so there's a couple answers when you work in the game industry. You can be vague, right? You know, I'm a designer, I'm a programmer, or you know, that works sometimes. You can be super specific, right? And sort of just like overwhelm them with like data and like details and all these things that they don't want to hear. And so the vague answer sort of works well for when you're at a cocktail party, you just meet someone briefly, and the specific answer works well for when you like meet that crazy guy, you don't want to talk to him a long time. But what about people you really care about, right? What about, you know, when you're trying to meet someone, your girlfriend, right? What about your girlfriend? You can talk to her. Or your boyfriend, right? And just closer to home, right? Mom and dad. You know, you need to explain your this career, this crazy game career to those people too. And so you might start by saying, I make video games. Well, that's a good start, but of course, different people are going to think different things, right? What grandma thinks about video games is going to be much different than what your crazy cousin thinks about video games. And what you think about video games is going to be different than what your mom thinks, right? And so you sort of need a way to explain to these people what's going on. So, and an important thing is to explain how many different kinds of games there are, right? There's classic games, and there's sports games, and adventure games, and racing games, and RPGs, and games with emotion, and games that are funny. So many games, right? But there's more than games, right? There's like training simulators, and there's like games that really make you think about the world, and maybe look at different problems in different ways. There's interactive museums that teach you all these crazy things hands-on. And then, you know, there's theme park rides too. Woo-hoo! So, you know, let's face it, we make a lot of cool stuff here, and so we should get congratulated by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Alright, let's recap so far. So if you're talking to someone you care about, and you're explaining that you make games, there's lots of different types of games, you really need to explain to them what it takes to make a game. And so, here's this video, which of course you can't hear the audio on. It isn't even playing correctly. Wow, this talk sucks. Well, man, it's so good. So if you've ever seen it, this is a clip from that commercial for Collins College, where the people are like sitting there, and they're like sitting in a chair, and they're like, oh, hurry, the boss is coming. And then the boss comes in, and it's this woman, and she's like, are you finished with that game? I need another one designed. And they're all like, I need to tighten up the graphics. It would be great if I could show that. So that's what people think are games, right? And is this video game development, right? Is this what people see on TV and think is video game development? No, this is not video game development, right? Video game development takes a lot of different people and a lot of different disciplines. You can explain it to people, say, you know what, a lot of people understand movies, right? Movies take a lot of different people to make them, so you can say it's like a movie that's got to be interactive, right? And it's got to be intuitive. And so you need like all these designers to do that. And then a movie that only lasts 2 hours, well guess what? Your game needs to last like 10 to 40 hours, I don't know. Some large amount of time. And they're gonna spend like $8 to $10 or 12, whatever it is now for 3D on movies. They're gonna spend $40, $50, $60 on your game. So it becomes very difficult. And you know, you can explain to them that there's all these intricacies and all these different things that people, you know, put into making games and all this stuff, but they're still gonna say, you know, it's a team effort. You're gonna explain this to them. And they're still gonna say, but don't you have the best job ever? And you can think to yourself, killing me, I swear I tested this. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, these guys are like, can you believe we get paid to do this? And yes, we kind of do have the best job ever. So there's my talk. call any of your relatives and explain what you do. I will not do that, but now you know how to. All right.
Any questions for Shawn?
Yeah, I got one.
Yes.
How do you deal with people when you talk? You're like, hey, I make games. How do you deal with people that are like, why don't you get a real job?
That's very true. Very true. And it depends, right? So you could say, hey, games have been making more money than film for a long time now, if they care about money, if they're that type of person. If you're talking about art, you can like mention some of the art games that have been made over the years. So there's different responses. I've definitely had that too. And you can tell them suck it too.
Isn't lying just easier and more time efficient?
It is. Honestly, that's the vague response, right? I'm a designer. Well, that could be anything, right? Then you walk away, you know. Or like, I make sure graphics cards are right, but I know whatever. So there, yes, lying can be an easy way to get around that.
How do you deal with people that want to make the next farm build, the next Halo?
Oh, they got an idea. I got this idea for a game, right? That's when you give them your producer's card.